4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, we got a lot going on. The FAA not allowing U.S. flights to go to Israel. We got that. We got the latest on the supposed ceasefire talks. We got the latest from the Malaysian airliner. Lots going on, but I want to first start with Sean Spicer, Communications Director for the RNC, and talk a little politics, domestic politics. But first, we started out with a video that shows us a little Harry Reid. I mean, what could be better than starting off with a little Harry Reid? You'll like this one.
Koch brothers, 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 Koch budget, Kochtopia, Koch, Topia, Koch budget, Ryan Koch budget, Ryan Koch budget, Koch Ryan budget, Koch budget, Koch budget. I should put the Ryan Koch budget, Koch brothers.
Say that 3 times fast. The obsession of Harry Reid. Welcome, as we mentioned, Sean Spicer, Communications Director for the Republican National Committee, the RNC, joins us once again. Hello, Sean.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I want to talk about that in a second. The party's Fire Harry Reid kickoff. Believe me, I'm behind you on that one. But let's talk about, we had a couple of court rulings today regarding Obamacare. And I got all excited with the first one, a 2-to-1 decision, federal appeals court saying that most Obamacare subsidies were illegal. And then there's one more that kind of goes the other way.
Right. Well, what this does is that the upside is it gets this probably set up for a Supreme Court battle sooner rather than later, which is where it was always going to end up, because there's no question that the administration was going to appeal the first ruling this morning that came down 2-to-1 against the federal subsidies for Obamacare. I think one of the things that when you go back to the whole nut of what Obamacare was supposed to do, it was supposed to be affordable, supposed to give people more access to care. It's done neither of those things, and in fact, it's caused a lot of headache for people around this country in terms of losing their doctors, losing the ability to have the current insurance that they have cover what they were used to. And I think that what you're seeing today is more of this concern and problems with Obamacare, which is it was never set up to do well because they rushed it through. They did what they wanted to do. They didn't seek any input, and they put government ahead of patients and doctors. And this is the result of this. And the courts are, at least some of the courts are finally acknowledging this.
So what does this mean? Is this going to expedite it to the Supreme Court because now you have the Fourth Circuit ruling for the subsidies and you have the D.C. Circuit ruling against the subsidies? So is it going to expedite it and get it there quicker?
My legal expertise involves watching all of the various Law and Orders. But from what I'm told, that is kind of how this works. That if it was just one circuit court, then there would be an appeal process, et cetera. But because multiple circuits have now ruled in various ways, apparently that creates a much quicker path to the Supreme Court. But again, I wouldn't trust my legal rendering. So
fair enough.
I would advise the viewers to probably seek additional counsel.
I'm not a lawyer, but I do play one sometimes on this show, so we're in the same boat. All right, Barack Obama did cancel Jimmy Kimmel. He was going to make a surprise walk-on appearance, and he did cancel that, but nonetheless, his West Coast tour, including fundraisers, of course, is still on. And of course, this is as the news gets worse and worse and worse. But never fear, they tell us, he's got people around him who are keeping him up to date on every world crisis. Good enough?
Well, look, you know this, I know this, and everyone watching knows this, that at the end of the day, optics matter. President Bush gave up golf during the Iraq War because it wasn't because that same principle apply to him, because he knew that it didn't look right. And I think that when you have multiple domestic crises occurring, whether it's the scandals at the IRS, to the VA or, Obamacare. I mean, all these things happening. And then you look foreign policy-wise and you see the airliner being shot down, problems in Syria, problems in Iraq, ISIS trying to get an additional foothold. And all of these things happening just on that one day alone, just a couple days ago, you had the airliner being taken down, a lot of uncertainty around exactly what had happened and how many Americans might or might not have been on that plane, as well as a bunch of problems going on in Israel and Gaza in particular. And they went to 2 fundraisers. And I think that, I get the case they're making, which is, oh, well, there's people around the president if something happened. I understand that. That's true. But this president, more than any, understand that optics matter. They have become a photo op, administration. They know walking to Starbucks, it makes them look like they're part of the average everyday America. They take, pictures of drinking beers and shooting pool. So for all of the time that they put into planning photo ops, to not know that this optic will look bad makes you really wonder where the priorities are in terms of the policy.
No, absolutely right. And that pool and beer drinking with the governor of Colorado was as he was going to Texas to not go to the border because he said he didn't want a photo op. So it's like you said, though, it's no accident. They know exactly what they're doing. I just wish somebody could figure this this whole thing out. Let me ask about the IRS. You mentioned the IRS. Now we have the IRS Deputy Associate Chief Counsel testifying behind closed doors to the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, saying that, hey, guess what? These emails of lowest learners, maybe they do exist. How could it still be maybe? How could this organization not know?
I read a story yesterday where the Washington Post asked whoever does the standards and practices for sort of the industry that destroys hard drives. I didn't know that really existed, but it does. And they went through the sort of standardized procedures that any normal organization or agency would go through in terms of before a hard drive was actually disposed of. And in every instance, they went through the 6 steps that normally occur, and none of them appear to have been followed, or they're completely misleading the American people. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's got to be one of the 2, because apparently there's no sort of way around this. This is how a hard drive is supposed to be certified that it has been deleted. Those steps were never followed. So then it does beg the question that you're asking, which is maybe they actually never did it and they just sort of threw that out as the excuse, but the hard drives still exist. And because, as you know, there's always these stories about people throwing out their computer and it being wiped, and yet over and over again some way of retrieving the data that was on there. And it seems odd to me that somehow these guys never were able to utilize these normal procedures that others can.
Yeah, you would wonder. All right, the Harry Reid, the kickoff, Fire Harry Reid kickoff efforts that you're undertaking now. Tell us what that's all about.
Well, look, normally when if you're running for office right now and you're a Democrat, you're on the wrong side of the president's approval ratings, you're in a lot of trouble, and you're trying to distance yourself from the Democratic Party. So you look at like Mark Begich up in Alaska, or Mary Landrieu in Louisiana, or Kay Hagan in North Carolina, Mark Pryor in Arkansas, and they're trying to tout how they're an independent vote for the state and all the stuff they do. For the end of the day, what is stopping the 40 jobs bills that the Republican House sent over to the Senate is Harry Reid. He is the common denominator in everything. And so what we want to remind voters in key districts around this country, in key states rather, is that if voting for one of those members is actually a vote for Harry Reid, who is standing in the way of jobs bills. He's standing in the way of Keystone Pipeline. He's standing in the way of blocking health care reform that might actually get us away from Obamacare. So all of the things that are really problems in America, and the solutions that I think we as Republicans have offered and sent over to the Senate, the reason they're not going anywhere is because of Harry Reid. And we need to remind voters in all of these states that it's not just your senator. Your senator is a proxy vote for Harry Reid. He is the one that's standing in the way of job creation, of additional opportunities in education and healthcare and a variety of other things.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, letting the public know there are 40 jobs bills that the Republican House has passed, and all the other bills that you've passed on a variety of other subjects, not even including Obamacare. That, as you are doing here, needs to be told to the public, because all they hear from the media and the Democrats is, gridlock, nothing gets done. The Republicans have been obsessed with Obamacare. They've voted to repeal it 1,000,000 times, and that's all they've done. No, that's not all they've done, but I really think the public doesn't know that.
Right. You're absolutely right. I mean, as you pointed out, I think the total is now 308 bills total that the Republican House has sent over, 40 specific job creator bills.
Wow.
That deal with whether it's big picture stuff or small sectors, where we believe that you could create tens of thousands of jobs in different areas of this country. Yep. And as you said, if you listen to the average media story out there, it's gridlock in Washington and nothing's getting done.
Well, that's the first mistake, is listening to the average media story. I got one more for you, Sean, real quick. Politico poll, the kind of job that Hillary did as her time as Secretary of State, you got 14% say excellent, 32% say poor, 28 good, 21 fair. So fair and poor is 53, good and excellent is 42. So that's not good for Hillary.
Go. I've loved this book tour. This was exactly the opposite of what they wanted. I think they thought that this was going to be a fluff tour. They get out there and get to talk about what a great woman she is, her accomplishments. I think what it did is it highlighted her, and it gave the American people a chance to actually see the record or lack thereof and the problems that she caused, whether it was Benghazi or the various other world problems that occurred on her watch. So the worst thing that the best thing that happened to us as Republicans and frankly as Americans is that this book tour, instead of creating a positive trail for her, has actually cast a real light on the lack of accomplishment that she had as Secretary of State. All
right, Sean, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye-bye. That's Sean Spicer, Communications Director for the RNC. Yeah, very, very, very vital and great that they're doing this, the Fire Harry Reid effort, because how many people know that there were over 300 bills passed by the Republican House that Harry Reid has not brought up in the Senate? Jobs bills, most importantly, perhaps the jobs bills. And that Harry Reid, is obsessed with calling the Koch brothers, who are American citizens, un-American. That Harry Reid told Dana Bash of CNN, why should I save a kid with cancer? This is during the shutdown. Her question, why not fund a piecemeal bill that the House passed to fund the National Institute of Health? Why should I save a kid with cancer when I have people back home who are laid off and have their own problems? Gosh, get that message out. Get those videos. Get those sound bites. Let America know who Harry Reid is, for crying out loud. All right, we're coming back, folks, with the panel on the Steve Malzberg Show.